I took a pretty circuitous route here. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up until I was at least 25 or 26. I think it took me a long time to find the science that I was interested in. I've always been curious. I mean, I liked physics in biology in high school. They were okay, but they just didn't quite, I don't know, they just didn't quite do it for me. But I didn't know that this thing called ecology even existed until I was much, much older. My name is Erin Borgman. I work with the Inventory and Monitoring Division in the Park Service. I'm an ecologist and our field coordinator. So I think what ecology is for me, it's the marriage of what I love about nature and what I love about science. It's large-scale science that you can see without a microscope in many cases. Today we'll be collecting water samples that we're going to send to a lab, and that lab's going to analyze the samples for nutrient levels like nitrogen and phosphorus and chloride. It can tell us a lot about pollution, among other things. We're also going to be measuring water chemistry with an instrument that collects information on the temperature of the stream, the pH, which tells us about the available nutrients in the stream, conductivity, which tells us about the electrical flow in the stream. It's really sensitive to change, which is why we measure it. It can be changed by things like pollution or sediment, that sort of thing. And the instrument will also measure the amount of oxygen that's dissolved in the water in the stream. Streams are vital resources and are crucial to all life as we know it on this planet. Streams are an important part of anchoring the water cycle in parks and in nature. They are important in the process of recycling nutrients like carbon and nitrogen, and they're a habitat for a lot of plants and animals. The Inventory and Monitoring Program is all about measuring the vital signs of ecosystems. So just like our pulse or our cholesterol, we are monitoring the vital signs of ecosystems as an indicator of how healthy they are and whether that health is changing. So as an example, one of the vital signs we measure are the species of algae that live in streams. So a change in species composition of these algae can have a cascading effect on the whole system, like the bugs that eat the algae and then the fish that eat the bugs. So by monitoring this vital sign that's at the bottom of the food chain, it can tell us a lot about the health of the overall system. One of the parts of my job that I think is really interesting that I think a lot of people don't think of as fun is you collect all this data outside, and that's great, but then you have to figure out what it all means. And I think there's something that drives humans, that we want to find answers to questions. We want to know what things mean. And I really like looking at all of the numbers and trying to figure out in real life and the things that we can see around us, what does it mean? Like right now we're sitting amongst some willows in Rocky Mountain National Park, and willows have been taking a beating from a high density of elk and now moose without predators to help disperse them. So it's really interesting to do some willow work and see what percentage of this willow is declining or has been browsed, and then to make sense of that when you're in a place like Moraine Park that has seen a lot of changes over the last couple decades. And I think that's what I like the best is understanding more about how things work and what's living there and how it interacts with all the other organisms in that system. It goes back to making sense of what it is we're looking at. I think nature means more to me when I understand this isn't just a willow, it's a willow that plays a complex role with beaver and songbirds and elk and the whole system. I would say if you don't know what you want to do, don't freak out. It just takes some people longer than others. Some people know what they want to do when they're 10 and they go through and they do it, and some of us, it just takes us a while.